All right, so I'm going to be in a campaign where we are going to create new characters who are half rogue and half another class. So anyway, I was thinking about the story, the backstory for my character, and what race I would like to make that character. So I'm thinking half elf. Half elf is an interesting race because it comes with already comes with a backstory. When I think of creating a character, I often think about the character's parents. Because if you want to try to define a character, why not talk about where that character comes from? And one of their character's biggest influences is going to be that character's parents. So since this character is a half elf, it makes it really easy. Half elf, half human. In my case, I think I'm going to make my character's mother an elf. I wanted her to be a high elf, and the father to be the human. And the father is a low-born human. She's a high-born elf. So it's kind of like a star-crossed, lovers kind of thing. So I took a page from the half-elf description of diplomats. So I'm thinking I'm going to say that this character's mother was a diplomat on a diplomatic mission into the human city and into the big city, and saw this roguish human kind of charlatan in the streets, and he was, she fell in love with him, but the love was forbidden. So eventually they get together and they meet at this inn, and the innkeeper is very discreet, and they have their little rendezvous there at the end while she's with her diplomatic mission. Well, one thing leads to another, and she ends up pregnant. So she can't hide this fact from the other elves in her delegation, and they demand to know who the father is, and she tries to hide it, but eventually they find out that it was this low-born human, and that's an insult to their family, their nobility. So she's cast out. So she and her husband raise this child at the inn where this innkeeper had taken them in. The father, he had been kind of like a petty, not a petty thief, but a petty thief. He was playing street games like three-card Monte and that kind of thing in order to make a living. And so he does that. And one day he's out and he disappears. This is going to be part of this character's backstory, is that he doesn't know where his father is, and maybe someday he'll come across him. So that's it's always nice to have something like that in a character's backstory, something where you give something to the DM that they can use later, possibly. And there's always something like a side quest, an overarching backstory element that the DM can use. So that's what I'm going to give the DM is okay, I don't know where my father is. My mother, she's raising me at this inn, but now I'm of age and I think I want to go out and find my father, even though everybody seems to think that he's disappeared, run off, dead, whatnot. I'm going to go and look and find him. So that's the story that I've got in my mind for this character, because he'll have I'm going to do a rogue bard. I'm going to have the bardish elements of the entertainment and the charm, and that comes from the diplomatic side of the elvish, graceful side of his parentage. And then I'm going to have, of course, we're all rogues, at least rogue 3. So that comes from his dad's side, and he knows how to do sleight of hand and games of chance and that sort of thing. So that's where I'm coming from with this. So now I'm going to build this character a little more and get into how I'm going to use each of those. I'm going to use a background, and I'm going to use the two character classes in order to flesh out this character. And I'll talk about that in subsequent videos.